So per ESPN Zach Lowe, the Lakers are expected to be in the market for a difference-making perimeter talent on the trade market this summer. We've gotten a lot of reports lately. I mean, obviously it's the Lakers, trades, superstars, all that stuff, right? You're always going to get those reports. You're always going to get those conversations. But it's been heavily discussed lately that the Lakers this season, or this offseason, are really going to focus heavily on game-changing talent, trying to go get that superstar. Kendrick Perkins, take that as you may, right? It's Kendrick Perkins. I don't know how much weight you can put into it, but I mean, he is an ex-player. He does have connections and friends that are in the league that very well could have said, like, hey, I'm planning on pushing and forcing my way to the Lakers this offseason. It's also been heavily reported that the Lakers want to get pieces that will help win now. They want to win championships right now, try to help LeBron win as many as he possibly can before he sails off and retires in the sunset. But they also want to establish themselves, put themselves in a position post LeBron James by having an Anthony Davis plus insert other superstar. But the interesting thing with the perimeter, right? Like, yes, if they were to get a Donovan Mitchell or a Trae Young or, Kyrie Irving or like the big names that are out there as far as like Laker targets, if they were to get any of those guys, yes, that's perimeter, right? They're guards, they're out on the perimeter, they're scoring, they're shooting. But to me, it's like, obviously, if you can get a Trae Young or a Donovan Mitchell, which I would actually prefer Donovan Mitchell. Look, Trae Young, he's younger and an incredible talent, but he also might be the worst defensive player in the league. And you really have to surround him with the proper defensive pieces. Otherwise, you could be in big trouble. Where Donovan Mitchell, he's actually having an excellent defensive season this year, but he also came, which I think is crazy because Donovan Mitchell has evolved into a scorer and one of the best in the league in that regard, but he came into the league from Louisville as a defensive guard. He was known as this guy, his real skill set and where he's going to find a role on an NBA team is defensively. And then, he goes to Utah, has to kind of be the playmaker and scorer, and he kind of took a step back on the defensive side, except for this year. He's been really good at doing both. So I just look at it as he'd give you the same level of scoring. Doesn't give you the same level of playmaking. But I think, as long as you can get the ball to Anthony Davis, I think you'd be fine. And you got LeBron for the meantime. And then, just defensively, you'd be better. You don't have to have elite defensive. I mean, you still want to have as good of a defense as possible, but you don't have the desperation need for great defensive guys as you do for Trae Young. It's kind of my thought process in that. But regardless, if the Lakers can get one of those superstars, Trae Young, Donovan, Kyrie, whomever, right? Maybe somebody else that we don't expect becomes available, then I definitely think you got to do it if you're the Lakers. But also, perimeter, to me, would be a legit star out at the wing position, right? Somebody that could play maybe both forward spots or play the two guard but shift over to the three, right? A guy that comes to mind, and I'm not necessarily saying that the Lakers should get him, target him, or anything like that, although I wouldn't mind it, but he is getting up there in age. So this, to me, wouldn't be as much of a long-term move as it would be in the now. But somebody like Paul George, for example, right? I think he would be the perfect complement and upgrade if you were just trying to get somebody for right now to win right now, right? Because he's a guy that has legit size, could play the 2, could play the 3. You could even slide him over to have him play the a small ball 4 or whatever because of his size, his length, his defense. I mean, he's 6'8". So, you could put him basically 2 through 3 and he could have an impact. He's still one of the best two-way players in this league. He elite level defensively. He can still go get you some incredible offensive production. And he is such a good, even more than Kawhi, right? And look, I'm not saying that, who's better. I'm just talking about the specific skill of difficult shot making. Paul George is one of the best difficult shot makers that there is currently in this league. I mean, he is incredible in that regard. So to me, I just look at it as like, somebody in the lines of a Paul George. But to me, it'd be like you need like a superstar. And that like boils down to the question, like, what superstar wings are really out there? Right? Like you go through the list and it's like most of like the top guys that you think about right now are mostly guards or like centers, like a Joel Embiid, a Giannis, like even Luka with his size is a guard. How many like elite premier 3 and D league guys? And I'm talking about superstars. Like obviously there's guys like, you think of like a McDaniels who's really good, young, talented, doing a lot of things, or a guy like, Jeremy Grant. But Jeremy Grant isn't a superstar. Like Jeremy Grant is a very good, very gifted, very talented player, but he's not some guy that's like, he's not a Paul George, a Kawhi Leonard, anything like that. But I do really like, I just think Jeremy Grant is overpaid personally for me, a little too much. But to me, if you wanted to like win right now, if you could go get like a Paul George, somebody like that can just plug in, be the 3, you could basically keep your roster. To me, like that would be like upgrading the Jared Vanderbilt role with somebody that's just like elite in that regard, right? But again, to me, it's when they say perimeter guys, it's gonna be a guard. Because any of the stars that are available, that may potentially become available, are all going to be guards. And the issue is, like, let's say Giannis does one out, right? Like, let's say Milwaukee, because they've been struggling mightily. Like, let's say Milwaukee ends up losing in the first round or the second round or something like that. Giannis is like, get me out of here, I'm done, right? Like, the Lakers just don't have enough to go get somebody like that. They just don't. Right? I mean, every team in the league would be trying to go after Giannis, and there are so many teams that just have way more assets than the Lakers, even in the offseason. So I just think you either have to, go get a guy like a Paul George where, like, say the Clippers aren't willing to extend him long-term, or they don't want to give him, money or whatever it is, and he's like, all right, fine, well, I could go to the Lakers, and the Lakers could work something out to go get him, or you go get one of those guards. Regardless, I just think, you get the right pieces around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They can, assuming they're healthy, can lead you to the promised land. We've seen them do it before. And, who knows? Like, get these guys into the playoffs this season and see what happens. Right? Like, I fully believe in these Lakers to go and legitimately win a championship. I think the NBA is incredibly wide open. I think that there's so much disparity this year, so many different teams that you can make an argument for. And I think the Lakers, if they get into the postseason, are one of them. If they stay in like the 9th or 10th spot, I'm not saying that they can't, but it just, anything can happen in a 1-game sample size. You know what I mean? Especially if you're playing like the Warriors and the 9-10 matchup, and Warriors are good at, like, you might win 9 out of 10 times, but is it out of the realm of possibility that Steph and Clay just shoot the lights out for 1 game and beat you and send you home? No, it's very possible. Same thing with like a Dallas or Sacramento or whatever. Like, yeah, you might be able to beat them 9 out of 10 times, but you end up losing that one time, that's it, you're done, right? So that kind of becomes a problem. So you got to at least get to the 7 or 8 spot, so that way you at least have 2 chances to get in. But if ideally get to the 6th spot, which I still fully believe that they can, then you don't have to worry about that. You get into the postseason, and you trust a healthy LeBron James and Anthony Davis to lead you to the promised land. The only team that I worry about is Denver. We get the postseason, take out Denver, or somebody else takes out Denver. I think the Lakers have a real shot at winning an NBA championship. And then you go into the offseason, you go get that 3rd star to pair with LeBron and AD. You'd still have guys like Jared Vanderbilt, etc. Like, let's say you get Trae Young, right? Like, at that point, you just need complementary pieces, right? You have Jared Vanderbilt at 3, which you would definitely need to start at that point, because Jared Vanderbilt, you need his defense, especially alongside Trae Young. You need to mask Trae Young as much as possible. And you already have LeBron, who, if we're being honest, takes a lot of defensive plays off. He can still lock down when he needs to, but just game in and game out, you're going to have concerns with LeBron and then Trae Young, and then you need to have legit ideally two-way, two-guard, Jared Vanderbilt, Anthony Davis, and I think you're in good shape. But we'll see. Time will tell. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you think that the Lakers get a superstar? Do you think that do you agree that hey, it should be a star out on the perimeter like a Paul George or something like that, or do you think no, go get a Donovan Mitchell or a Trae Young, something like that? Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Now subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.